So today I'm going to show you how you can also create a 3D cube design using 3 colors of paint and some tape. Hi, I'm Sarah from Bold Wallflowers Furniture Refinishing. If you're looking for refinishing tips, tricks, and techniques, then you're in the right place. Together, we're going to take old pieces of furniture and create them into stunning, bold statement pieces. So let's get started on today's project, 3D cubes. So today's project, you will require a few items on hand. You will need tape. I prefer to use a thicker version and a thinner for when I come in for the second taping. You will need a ruler, a pencil. I also like to use some markers, a sharp instrument. So in this case, I have these swappable blades, a small paintbrush. You will also require something of a 60-degree angle. In this case, I used it's a traceable square with a 60-degree angle on it, and 3 paint colors. You'll need your base color. In this case, I use Fusion Bayberry, and I used 2 complementary colors, Bedford from Fusion and Lichen from Fusion as well. The very first step I unfortunately failed to record, and that was painting your board your base color. In my case, it was the darker green Bayberry. Then once your surface is fully dried, I prefer to leave it at least overnight. You can then tape the full surface, and after which you will start with your vertical line. To simplify the process, I did my vertical lines exactly the width of the ruler itself. You're going to take your 60-degree angle to create that first line, and from that you will, using your ruler once again, create those horizontal lines. Then in the opposite direction, you want to create the final lines, which will also intersect with the other 2 lines you previously made. I then use a marker to actually draw out the pattern much more clear for when you go in to cut. As you can see, the pattern begins to represent a row of diamonds with lines connecting them to create the 3D box effect. You could opt to skip this step, but I also like to go in with contrast and color markers to clearly see what will be color 1, 2, and 3 on the boxes. In this case, the pink diamonds are actually what become my base color, the top or the bottom of the box, depending on which angle you look at it. And the purple and green markers then will be colors 1 and 2. Now use your metal ruler and your sharp instrument to slice along the lines which you have already pre-drawn, being careful not to intersect over the sections where there is actually no line. So as you can see, it's usually the line goes for 2 blocks and then skips over a stop, and then it goes again for 2 blocks. So you have to make that jump in between. So as you can see, what starts to happen is you'll create this diamond pattern. In this case, I was removing all the green marker squares, which we'll call color number 1, and it will create this diagonal pattern. Next, you're going to seal the edges of the tape with, in this case, the dark green base coat. And then you'll go in after that's dried with your first paint color. I usually do 2 coats, and you want it to be thin as possible, so that you don't create too much of a ridge effect. Once the paint has dried overnight, you can go in with your tape, and once again, you will be covering now the new paint that you have laid, pressing firmly along the edges. As you work, you can also opt to go in and start removing the next tape for the 3rd remaining color. That would be, in this case, the purple boxes that we've created. Or you can leave that afterwards. It's really a preference, and it's up to you. Now let's look at the next step a little closer. You're going to take your original base color, and on the edges, in this case it was the top and the bottom, where I know those colors will remain, you will then paint very lightly to seal the edges of the tape. That'll help to give you those crisp lines. Then on the other two sides where you have the last paint color that you used, you will go in and do the same. Now you're going to go in with your third and last color and paint those squares. Once again, thin coats to really avoid creating too much of a depth difference between the levels of paint. Ensure the paint is first touch dry before you go in with the fun part, and that is peeling all that tape. Now, as you peel, if you see any areas where you think, could have been a little bit more lined up, or perhaps you did still get some bleed through, do not panic. This is all fixable. To make those corrections is very simple. Just a small paintbrush. Go in and make those tiny corrections. You can freehand it, or you can also retape just to address those points. And the final step is top coat. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.